Well, hi everyone and welcome to Adam's Fishing. It's been a good few weeks since I've been out and properly done some fishing, and tonight, although I've had a grueler of a day at work, it's just coming up to 5:30. I have arrived at the lake and I've got myself an overnighter ahead of me, so with any luck I'll get into a fish or two. I'm really hoping I do. I don't know if you ever get this, I get this kind of anxiety if I haven't been fishing for a while, that if I go, what if I blank? And you know, what if I blank? You know, that happens, that's fishing. I'll feel down about it for a while, but I'm sure I'll get over it and be out on the bank again soon thereafter. So sometimes you just got to suck it up and get on with it, haven't you? I'm not feeling overly optimistic today, which is not a great way to start the session, but you never know, I might be pleasantly surprised. There's some big fish in here, some of them go over 20 pounds, and there's always a chance. So I'm going to try my best. Okay, so it's going to be as much about rest and relaxation tonight as it is about trying to catch fish, although I am really hoping to catch a fish. But for that reason, I'm not going to go at it like a bullet in a china shop. I'm going to take my time, get my gear out of the car, take stock of what I'm going to do, and then get set up and try and make the right decisions and the right moves to put me in the best chance of getting a bite as it turns dark. I'm going to start by getting some rods ready and having a little feel around with the lead to try and determine where I'm going to be fishing to out there in front of me. Some lovely bays of lily pads out there, but some of them are quite thick, so I don't want to be getting too close to the danger zone in terms of snags and that kind of thing. So as I say, I'll have to try and make some wise moves and then set up ready for the evening ahead. Let's see how we get on. Alright, I'm going to start prepping some bait, and today's choice is primarily krill flavoured buoys, which I'm going to be dousing up with the good old krill liquid, this one, Cloudy Krill liquid, and I've also got a little pot of active krill stick mix there, which I'm just going to dust over the top because I've seen some of the cool guys doing that and they say it really pimps your baits up. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I guess I'll find out. So I'm going to give that a go next. Get the baits sort of soaking in the syrupy stuff just while I sort out where I'm going to be positioning my rigs, and then hopefully it'll be nicely soaked up, ready for me to catapult some out over where I'm planning to put my rods for the night. So as usual, got my trusty collapsible bucket. Empty a whole bunch of these in there. Pour a good dollop of this over the top. Don't want to go mad with it once they're coated, I suppose. That's good enough. You can see they've got all this nice shiny colour. They're all nice and damp from that liquid. And then I'm just going to sprinkle some of this gear over the top. There's the finished article, just like the pros do it. Let's hope my results are the same as the pros. Only time will tell. Right, for those that haven't seen it before, this is my Sabre 3-rod holdall. I really like it. The only thing I would say, a few people have asked me what I think. I do like it. It's compact, it's light, and it does the job. But there isn't a great deal of padding around the reels, and I have noticed the bail arms on my Cyprinus reels have sometimes been just ever so slightly twisted off centre because I've had something heavy nearby or on top. They've been wedged into a place that's a little bit too tight. With the extra padding, perhaps that wouldn't happen. But anyway, let's get a couple of rods out so I can get them. You might be able to see I use rod bands when my rods are in transit. Slot this one together. Line up the eyes. Good. Just tighten up the reel, which I always loosen off when they're in transport. Hopefully avoid stuff from snapping, that's the plan anyway. And I'll just put this rod to one side and get the next one ready. Okay, that's both rods out of the bag, set up and ready to attach leads to, in order that I can have a bit of a feel around and see where I'm going to be casting to this evening. I'm not going to make the same mistake I did last time, which is casting right across to the opposite bank, because I have to be mindful of other anglers, and it might be someone else turns up and decides that they want to set up directly opposite me. And if they do, I don't want to be fishing into their area, so to speak. So I want to make sure I'm not going past the halfway point of the lake, which is actually not my preference. So if it gets much later on in the evening, just before dark, and no one's there, I might have a reposition and cast out, because I know there's a nice clay bar out towards the far margin, which is an option. But for the time being, I'm going to keep my rods in a bit closer and see if there's a spot that I can fish to there. So let's get this lead on the end of this line. What I've got is an overhand loop in my main line, which is going to serve as the loop for attaching my solid PVA bags to. I'm just going to loop that lead on there, and that's ready for me to have a couple of casts. Maybe put the line in the clip when I'm happy and put a bit of marker elastic on. unfortunately all I seem to have done there is fed the geese. It's very shallow, that spot by that particular set of lilies in the middle. I haven't put loads of bait out, thankfully, which gives me an opportunity to reconsider the position of that one, which is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, not so bad. The geese have drifted off after picking up only about 5 or 6 boilies, so I might just persevere with that spot to start with. Not 100% convinced though. I'll have a think about it. Anyway, second rod I'm going to be putting a lead onto is the good old snowman rig, of course. And for that, rather than just a loop in the main line, I've got a length of anti-tangle tubing, a tail rubber and a lead clip. And what I'm going to do, slot the lead onto the clip and then pop the tail rubber over just lightly. In fact, I need to moisten that first. And hopefully have a feel around with this just on another set of lilies, which is kind of opposite the first set, and see if it might be a little bit deeper. Ideally, I'd like to fish a little bit deeper with this rod, so let's have a chuck around and see how we get on. Okay guys, well it's just starting to rain, so I'll keep this brief. I've tied up, might be a little bit premature, but I've tied up 4 of my snowman rigs. So I've got some coated braid down to a size 7 micro barbed fang X hook, but covering that I've got this little tiny PVA mesh bag of just very small particle and my little snowman bait just dangling below there. Before I seal these up in my tub so the rain doesn't get to them, I'm going to give each of them a little go with the krill glug. And the way I do this, because of the size of the mesh bag, I can put it on the top, turn the glug over, give it a good old go, and then that is the result, ready for casting out. So I just pop those to one side, one at a time, and I'll be ready to start my assault on that middle part of the lake that I showed you earlier. The other rod, of course, will be on my classic solid PVA bag, which also has the snowman rig, but just inside the bag. Each one of those now has a bit of added attraction around it. I'm starting to feel more confident. Well guys, I've been here an hour and I haven't even started fishing yet. I've had bait in the water for about half an hour, 40 minutes. I have seen one or two fish shows close by, but not exactly where I've baited. But hopefully it just means fish are in the vicinity and hopefully they'll pick up the smell of those krill boilies and hone in on them. So what I'm going to do now is get my first bait in the water in terms of a hook bait. And this is going to be courtesy of one of my little solid PVA bags of goodness there. Pre-tied on Avid PVA bag stems and just attached to the main line with a loop-to-loop. If I can get the hole, there we go. Pretty much the same setup as I have on my standard snowman rig, just on a more supple braid and all crammed into a little PVA bag. So I'm going to bomb this out as gently as I possibly can for such a heavy thing and get it on the rod rest. Switch those alarms on and see if we can get some bleeps. Alright, rod number one's out. It's pretty close to where I wanted it to be honest. It's not right on where I was putting the bait, but just on the edge of that patch, which sometimes I quite like actually. As for the other rod, it's my lead clip arrangement. And coming out of my box of tricks is the first of my little snowman rigs, ready to attach to my quick change clip. Like so. And then cover that quick change clip with the anti-tangle sleeve here. It's a little bit tight to get into place. That seems to have done the trick. Now that's ready for a cast. Right, the rods are set up, trap set, bait's in the water. Just heard a fish crash, which is a good sign. And now I'm just going to kick back and wait for it to happen. Please let it happen. I've got loads of tidying up to do. As much as I try to stay tidy, I've made a right old mess when I've been setting up here. So I've got to do that. Get everything straight. Put the mozzie mesh on the front of my brolly, ready for the night ahead. But before any of that happens, I need a beer. And as luck would have it, I've packed one. Now I can start to relax. It's not all easy, this fishing lark, you know. I love it though. Well guys, peace at last. You might have heard a bit of commotion. I'm coming from behind me. I am actually right next to the car park, lazy angler that I am. And there's been a bit of coming and going and lots of shouting and banging car doors and stuff. And finally that's abated now, and peace at last, which is lovely. Just to give you the picture of what I'm doing here, I've got one rod fished up against these pads here that I'm pointing to, and I've got one rod fished up against these pads here that I'm pointing to, and I've generally spread boilies across that patch in between the two sets of pads. I've had one little twitchy bleep on my right hand rod so far, but haven't seen any other signs of fish actually in my baited area, which is a little bit concerning, especially as I've seen one or two crashing in the next swim down. It might even mean that I have to move to be a bit of a gutter, as it's meant to be relaxing. I know we're meant to be mobile and get on our toes if we see the fish and all that kind of stuff, but it ain't half a hassle packing all the gear up and moving, isn't it? But given that it's only one swim down, I guess that's a sacrifice I'd be willing to make if something gives me the nod that that's the right move. But to be fair, I've only had hook baits in the water for 25 minutes, so I'm not going to make any decisions just yet. I'm just going to sit back and chill, and after I finish this beer, I've got to get this place tidied up. Those who are interested in the tackle I use, there's the finished shelter behind me. It's a Fox Super Brolly Compact. It's a good 5-6 years old now, I would say. But basically I've just used a mozzie mesh panel in the front here. It's quite a warm evening. I don't feel that I needed the bivvy or the twin skin bivvy or anything like that. And I can see through that mozzie mesh straight out to the rods, which I really like. So that's my setup for this evening in terms of my shelter. Well, I'm afraid it's raining pretty seriously now, and it's gone very quiet in the swim and in the lake generally. I've not seen hide nor hair of a fish for quite some time now, and it's just gone 8 o'clock in the evening. I've just had a recast of both rods, freshen the baits up and freshen those little parcels of PVA goodness around the hook baits, just in the hope that that might bring a bite as the evening wears on. But whilst I'm waiting, it's high time I got some dinner on the go, so let's get my stove sorted. Handy little stove, this one. It's just an NGT one, so it didn't break the bank, but it packs up small and it does the job, so it's good enough for me. Alright, ladies and gents, well, as you can see, today's culinary delight is bacon, fried eggs and some nice chips, so not bad for a meal cooked on the bank, I should say. I'm going to get this down my neck pretty quickly though, because I've been having liners on both of my rods, and a couple of those liners have been pretty savage in nature. They've bobbed and pulled right up to the blank and then dropped back down again. It makes me wonder if maybe on both rods, or at least one of the rods, I've had an aborted take, and that worries me. Oh, another liner, so the fish are out there. which gives me hope and leaves me optimistic. So anyway, I'm going to get this down my neck and then make a decision about whether to recast or not. Good chips. Well guys, it's now 9:10 and I've just hooked my first fish. Quite a hesitant take on my right hand rod, which I got to fairly quickly. Connected with a fish, and then the fish was obviously swimming towards me at speed, so I had to quickly wind to gather some line, and then connected with what, well, they always do, don't they, with what felt like a good fish. Strong fish, powerful, and after about 10 seconds of contact, it was off. I am proper gutted, but it gives me hope that there might be a chance of another one. Well guys, good morning. Morning has broken. It's just after 5 AM, but it's already light, which is great. It means I can do a bit of filming and I can give you a bit of a match report from last night. So things didn't get off to the best of starts. I lost that fish in the late evening, and then I lost a further 2 fish, which I'm convinced were carp because they really did fight hard, both to the lily pads basically. They got their heads into the lily pads and just shed the hooks on both occasions, and then darkness fell and I curled up in the sleeping bag feeling rather dejected, to be honest. I didn't get a lot of sleep though because of constant liners, just liner, beep, 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 just jolted me awake every 5 minutes it seemed. It probably wasn't that frequent, but it seemed like that. And I was starting to think it was never going to happen, you know. It got to the point where I started ignoring the alarms and just trying to close my eyes. And then just before sun up, I caught 2 bream in quick succession, which perhaps explains all the liners. Bream might have moved into the swim and been feeding, you know, shoalfish, aren't they? And perhaps just clipping the line over and over again, keeping me awake. So I landed those 2 bream, and almost immediately after that, I caught a carp, and it was on the snowman rig, and all my prayers were answered. But then, almost immediately after that, I caught another carp, and this time on the PVA bag rig. So I caught 1 carp on each rig. I've got 2 carp to show you. One's resting in the net, and one's in the retainer there. It hasn't been long, literally half an hour. I was just waiting for the sunlight to be enough to take a decent photo, and then I'll slip them back. But I'm really, really pleased to be able to show you some carp. And I'll also put a picture on here of those 2 lovely slimy bream as well, just for the record. But give me a moment, I'll get myself sorted with my photography stuff, and then I'll show you these 2 lovely carp that I've caught. I'm absolutely made up. Okay guys, well, here is fish number 1 of my brace from the early hours of this morning. A lovely dark common of 9.5 pounds. I did weigh it because I haven't caught a big one for a while. Not quite a 10 pounder, 9.5 this one. but absolute magic all the same. I'm absolutely made up with this fish. So pleased to land one. Really was looking like it wasn't going to happen, and then it all came good this morning. Absolutely brilliant. I'll show you the other side of her. That's a bit cleaner on this side in terms of the scaling. I'm so chuffed. And the one I've got in the retainer down there is just a little bit bigger as well. Can't say fairer than that. Absolute magic. I'm going to slip this beauty back and then show you fish number 2. Oh guys, here she is. Fish number 2 of my morning brace. And I'm absolutely overjoyed with this one. It looks absolutely enormous, I think, but weighed in at 12.5 pounds, or about 12 pound 10 ounces, actually a little bit more than 12.5. But it really looks like it's got potential to weigh heavier than that, doesn't it? An absolutely beautiful mirror. It looks sort of like half linear scaling pattern along the midsection here. Beautiful big scales. Lovely dark grey and creamy orangey colours on the flanks. I know it's said a lot in carp fishing, but I'm blown away. Beautiful, beautiful fish. I feel very privileged to have caught her. I'll just show the other side of this one too. And there it is. Absolutely brilliant. So glad I made the effort to come out and do this overnighter after work yesterday. I'm going to slip this beauty back where she belongs and start packing the gear up. Brilliant. Well guys, I've just about packed everything up. It's 6:45 and I've really got to be on my way, places to be. I've just met one of my subscribers actually, a chap called Trevor, just down here for a day session today. But it was really nice to meet him. He gave me some really positive feedback about the videos. It's really spurred me on to carry on. So if you're watching, Trevor, thanks for that. And hopefully I'll see you on the bank again soon sometime. As for my short, overnight, allegedly relaxing carp fishing session, it wasn't that relaxing, to be honest. I'm absolutely shattered, but I'm leaving a happy man with 2 lovely carp under my belt. Still haven't bagged that 20 pounder that I'm after, but one day it'll come. Anyway, wherever you're fishing, I wish you good fortune and tight lines, and maybe I'll see you on the bank sometime. All the best.